Malcolm, what are you doing?
Drat! I told my assistant I needed a bigger leaf than this.
Why are you here?
Bequeathing upon thou, my loyal subject, a surprise celebration. So celebrate, heathen, celebrate!
For the love of God, celebrate! My eyes!
Wipe it out of your eyes with this squeegee peasant. Yes, you're familiar with one of these devices, aren't you? I wouldn't put it past you to panhandle, you filthy animal.
What the hell is this?
After years of tough, eyeball-to-eyeball negotiations, I, Malcolm Turnbull, did none of that. I just swanned on in the last 5 minutes and declared, I beg your pardon, President Obama, you need my little old signature for this document, do you? Very well, hand me the pen and... Is this some sort of an international lark? No feather-tipped quib. However do you expect me to keep myself from overheating after the physical labor of signing such a document? I feel faint. Each stroke weakens me more.
Have no idea what you just signed, do you?
Not in the slightest, but then again, no one is apart from 600 corporate lawyers behind closed doors typing away in their... What is the word I'm searching for?
Expensive suits?
Expensive. It's a rather odd choice of words. I was going to go with outrageously modest.
Look, regardless of their fashion sense, you just signed the Trans-Pacific Partnership. That's an agreement that from start to finish was designed purely by corporate America. And even though it's been signed, and it's been in the works for 6 years, and affects the lives of 1 billion people, we're not allowed to see that agreement.
Well, we wanted it to be a surprise.
Yeah, it's pretty surprising, alright? The governments across the globe aren't even pretending to govern anymore. They've just signed over whatever little sovereignty they had left to Disney.
Scrooge McDuck seems to be a perfectly competent handler of currents here, and handing over such tedious tasks to him gives me more time to ski down my personal mountain of fortune. Besides, if it wasn't for
Well, your Trade Minister, Andrew Robb.
Don't pretend you know who he is, you filthy little urchin. You had to double check in Google to see whether or not he was the Minister of Trade or not.
My eyes!
Together, we stood strong against 10 most powerful nations and told them that if medicines are to become more expensive, we are not to sign this garbage.
That is the least of my concerns about this. I would rather that medicine cost so much that people started walking into royal processions and demanding...
Right. Put your hands up, Prince Philip. Actually, now, pull your pants down. Now. Smush that pie in your undies, mate.
I beg your pardon?
What do you Poms bloody call it? Knickers?
Oh, I was going to save exactly that for my 11th. Just to be locked up so they can afford a damn Panadol. That would be a better future than what you've just signed into reality, because you've allowed corporations to sue the government whenever the government changes a law which they think will make their businesses less profitable. If this passes, our workplace conditions and environmental laws will never improve, ever, because if they do, the government will be sued by every corporation on Earth. And just to stack the cards that tiny bit more in their favor, these disputes aren't even heard in a court of law. They're handled by a corporate tribunal made up of 3 corporate lawyers who take turns being the judge, prosecution, and defense attorneys. It does! Marvelous! Note to self, make musical chairs a mandatory subject for year 12. This agreement has virtually nothing to do with free trade. In fact, its sole objective is to undermine free trade by forcing ridiculous investor rights onto nations that chokehold the populations of those countries so much that if this was signed into law in the 19th century, the US would still be an agricultural producer today. And that means all the other nations involved would be as well. Yes, I'm well aware that the next opera I attend may have a grandmother clapping spoons in the orchestra. We've all got to make sacrifices for progress. What progress? If this was signed in the 18th century, England would have never even gone through the Industrial Revolution, because this has made everything industrial nations use to advance illegal. And as a result, Mr. Turnbull, you, in what is essentially your first act as Prime Minister of Australia, at the head of your so-called thoroughly liberal government, have signed the most protectionist agreement in the entire history of the planet. What the hell is even remotely liberal about restricting human progress for all eternity so Sony can sue a 15-year-old for downloading Breaking Bad in the year 25,000? Surprise!
Please press the subscribe button now. Come on.